Welcome back to the third and final part of this interview featuring the Future of Football project, speaking with three of the participants to hear about their experiences of the project. In this final part, all three participants will be talking us through their own journeys into taking part in democracy at their supporters group or at their football club in their country, and they will also be offering a bit of advice for anyone who is thinking of doing the same.
We're already at the last question, but it's quite a big one for the last question. And I think it's really I'm really intrigued to hear the answers from you three on this, because you're all in sort of slightly different situations in that you've got Mezen, who's a very, very active member within his supporters organisation, the Socios. You've got Sam, who's a board member with the Supporters Trust at his club, but then also involved at the national level with the FSA in England. And then obviously you've got Trygve as the chair of the Swedish Football Supporters Union. So what I wanted to ask is, can each of you sort of briefly give a summary of how you sort of started your journey into democracy in football, which is a very big question. And then what would your advice be to somebody who's, maybe a little bit younger than you, who goes to the matches, they're sort of thinking about getting involved? What would your advice be to them? So Mezen, if we start with you.
Sure. So my story is quite simple. I started it was my dad's influence. He started taking me to the stadium since I was 3 years old, I believe. And my ultimate goal was to become a footballer to this club. But eventually things didn't go as well. I'm not as talented with my feet as I am with my hands or brain. So I said, okay, I'm not going to be a player. Let's find another window to be active in this club. So I started my journey looking for stuff. How can I help? How can I help? And I ended up finding Socios CSS. And luckily, they sent an email to Socios members. And I was a member before even knowing about Socios, because there is the family pack thing. So my dad had a family pack Socios member. So I was Socios since I was young and I didn't know about it. So one day I received an email telling me there are commissions. Do you want to participate? I said, this is it. So I signed in all the commissions that were available. And on the same day, I had a call from the ex-president of the Socios CSS. He told me, I've seen your inscription to the commission. So what you do, what you want. And that call was pretty amazing for me. I mean, I didn't even know about the organization, and now I'm talking to the president itself. So yeah, I introduced myself, and he told me, okay, you're going to be in a commission with me, so let's kick this in. And I started having those meetings on a weekly basis, trying action plans for marketing, for communication stuff. I mean, some little stuff like that, but those weekly meetings that ended up being very meaningful, because you're knowing people from the same club that you're a fan of, the same organization, and you're actually talking action plans, something you can do to add this bonus. And a bit by bit started having this network and the organization. Eventually, the Future of Football project popped up, and I submitted again, and I was selected, luckily. And yeah, this is how it has been for me.
Perfect. And just quickly, what would your advice be to, a young fan who isn't quite involved in the sort of democratic side of things in their group yet? What would you say to them?
I mean, I don't believe that you're gonna always find stuff, laid out on the table for you. So what you have to do is to push in and look for people who might help you look for stuff, a window you can enter by to be active in your club, because eventually you want to be impactful in your own club. You're not serving anybody else. So if you really believe that you can help and you want to help, even though it's not laid off on the table, you should look for it yourself and create your own opportunity.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mezen. Sam, over to you. So give us a little bit of an insight into your journey, coming all the way to getting on the board, and then what would your advice be?
Yeah, so I think mine's probably a little bit more straightforward. I think it's pretty obvious that we're all big football fans here. You kind of just expect that there's nothing like this going on. So you sit in your seat and you support your team. But every so often you kind of you look for that little bit of extra where you can get involved. And for me, it was knowing that there was a supporters trust, and a lot of clubs in the UK have a supporters trust. You want to get involved. And funnily enough, when I looked at trying to get involved, there was an election happening for a place on the board. So I quickly kind of signed up, threw my name into the hat, and kind of forgot about it for a little bit, having written about a paragraph of why I'd be great, blah, blah, blah. And about 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. Congratulations, you've been elected to the board. And I think that's probably where the hard work gets kind of kicked to you. I think for myself and the advice that I would give to people is just go and grab every opportunity, kind of, as Mezen said, like knock on the doors. And if they don't open, you got to knock those doors down and force yourself kind of into those opportunities. Luckily, I had the opportunities kind of arise and I didn't have to be too patient. But being on the board of the Charlton Athletic Supporters Trust, there's always opportunities coming up, either for the national kind of governance council with the FSA or even the future of football stuff. It's just having the networks and the possibilities to firstly be told about those opportunities, but also the bottle and the inclination to go and try and take it with both hands and do that. So yeah, obviously the advice is knock the doors down, keep enjoying the football, and don't take no for an answer, really.
Very well said, Sam. That must have been a very compelling paragraph that you wrote if you got elected pretty sure after joining the organisation.
No AI used, I promise. It was way before ChatGPT.
Very good, very good. And finally, Trygve, give us a little insight into your journey, and then finally that all-important piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, important part of my journey was through this project, Football for Future, but it started a bit before that. It was when my club, Sirius, had one of their annual general meetings where we vote for the board, but also vote on motions, like suggestions that come from members, where I send in a motion about something that I wanted to change in our club. And that was passed by the members, and it was I was at the time living in another party in Sweden, and I had just taken the train up for like 6 hours just to be there, and it was an incredible experience for me, and I started to get more engaged during these general annual meetings. But after a while, I moved back home to Uppsala, where my club is from. And when I moved back, the board of the local supporter club needed another member. And they asked if I wanted to join, and I was voted in by the members. And for a couple of years, that was my focus. But then I've started to join these yearly meetings with the Swedish Football Supporter Union. And when I had joined, I think just once, the previous chairman asked if I wanted to go to Brussels through this project. And that's where my journey through the Swedish Football Supporter Union really started. And a couple of months later, I was voted to the board of the SFSU as well. And I think it was an incredible experience. And in January this year, I was voted the chairman of SFSU. So I think this project has been incredibly important for me to find my way through this organization. But I think if you want like the key takeaways, I think it's not it's not only the youth, but everyone else engaged in supporter organization or football clubs is that trust young people and give them time, give them the opportunity to do things wrong. And when you have patience and really believe in them, I think you will see that they will do stuff that you've never thought of or never had energy to do. I think in my supporter organization, in my local club, I've left the board now, but I think I see things that they do now that I only dreamed of, because they have new young board members that really fighting for a lot of things. And I think that's a really important part. It's not just that the young people need to fight for their way through. I think it's still important. I think it's good tips from Sam and Messen, but I think all the other peoples around also need to believe in them.
I think that's a very poignant point that you make there, Trygve. That's brilliant. Okay, well, Mezen, Sam, Trygve, thank you very much for your answers. That was my final question.
Thank you very much.
And so that's the end of the interviews. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you found it insightful and gave you a better understanding of what's been happening as a part of FSC's Future of Football project. And finally, if you would like to learn more about the project, you can head to fanseurope.org and look for the Future of Football page in our EU-funded project section. There you will be able to find a series of resources and interviews giving even more of an insight. Once again, thank you so much for listening.